can't sit at the front, my sister snapped. Why? I asked, holding my invitation. She leaned in, whispering, because my fiancé has feelings for you. My stomach dropped. What was she trying to do? My name is Danielle Brooks, and I'm 34 years old. I work as a freelance graphic designer, mostly from home, building small brands that people overlook. Growing up, I was always the quiet one, while my sister was the favorite, the one everyone praised. She had the big personality, the attention, the perfect milestones. I stayed in the background, helping, supporting, never really being seen. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something they didn't expect: independence and clarity. I paid my own way through life, never asking for anything. Still, somehow, I was always treated like I didn't matter. When her wedding came around, I thought maybe things would change. I showed up early, ready to help, wearing the dress she picked for me. I really believed this would be the moment we acted like real sisters. But instead, I was about to become the center of a lie I never saw coming. If you've ever been treated like you don't belong in your own family, hit that subscribe button. I know how that feels. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been blamed for something you didn't do? Click hype or like, and let's get into it. It happened 30 minutes before the ceremony. The venue smelled like white lilies and fresh paint, that sharp chemical sweetness that sticks to the back of your throat. My sister, Vanessa, grabbed my wrist and pulled me into a side room near the altar. Her grip was tight. Her eyes were wild. You need to move to the back, she said. I blinked. What are you talking about? She straightened her veil and looked at me like I was something she needed to clean off her shoe. Tyler told me. He told me he has feelings for you. So you can't sit up front. You can't be near him. Not today. I stood there, completely frozen. Tyler had barely spoken 10 words to me in the 3 years they'd been together. This made no sense. Vanessa, that's not true. He's never said anything like that to me. She raised her hand. I'm not arguing about this. Move. Now. I didn't want to cause a scene. Not on her wedding day. So I picked up my clutch and walked to the last row. Within minutes, the whispers started. I could hear them crawling through the pews like insects. Something's going on with Danielle. Did you hear what she did? My Aunt Clara leaned toward my uncle and muttered. I always thought she was jealous. Each word landed like a slap. I looked toward the front. Tyler stood at the altar, stiff, avoiding my eyes completely. He looked confused but said nothing. Then, right before the processional music began, Vanessa's maid of honor came over to me. Vanessa says you're not walking anymore. She's removed you from the bridal party. Just like that. No explanation I could fight. No chance to defend myself. She said it loud enough for the row behind me to hear. And I watched their faces shift from curiosity to judgment. I sat there in the back row of my own sister's wedding, wearing the dress she chose for me, holding a bouquet I was no longer allowed to carry. The reception was worse. The photographer, a young woman with a clipboard and a tight smile, approached me during the family photo session. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I was told you're not part of this. Not part of this. My own family. I stepped aside and watched them pose. My mother, my father, Vanessa, Tyler, cousins, aunts, uncles. Everyone smiling. Everyone belonging. Except me. Then came the speeches. Vanessa stood at the head table, glowing in her white dress, champagne glass raised. She thanked everyone. Her friends. Her in-laws. Our parents. And then she paused. The room got quiet. This journey hasn't been easy, she said, her voice trembling just enough to sound sincere. There were people who tried to cross boundaries. People who didn't respect what Tyler and I have. But loved one. She didn't say my name. She didn't have to. Every pair of eyes in that room drifted toward me. I felt the heat rise in my chest, my face burning. After the speech, I found my mother near the bar. Mom, none of this is true. Tyler never said anything to me. She's making it up. My mother sipped her drink and didn't even look at me. Danielle, please. Just stay quiet. Don't make this worse. You know how your sister gets. Stay quiet. That was always the instruction. Stay quiet while Vanessa rewrites reality. Stay small so she can stay big. But something was shifting inside me. Because the groom himself, Tyler, had walked past me near the coat check and muttered under his breath, "I never said that." Then he kept walking. He didn't stop. He didn't defend me. But he said it. And that was enough to confirm what I already suspected. This wasn't about feelings. This wasn't about Tyler. This was about control. Vanessa needed a villain, and I was the easiest target. The hurt in my chest started to cool. Something harder took its place. Quiet determination. What they didn't know was that I had been paying attention for years. Every conversation. Every manipulation. Every time the story got rewritten, and I was left holding the blame. I kept records. Screenshots. Messages. Not because I was paranoid, but because when you grow up being gaslit, you learn to hold on to proof like a lifeline. 3 weeks before the wedding, Vanessa had sent me a string of strange texts. She'd asked me if I thought Tyler was attractive. She'd brought up old conversations we never had. She'd planted seeds, building a narrative before I even knew there was a script. At the time, I thought she was being insecure. Now I understood. She was rehearsing. I didn't react at her wedding. Not during the ceremony. Not during the photos. Not during her speech. Not because I was weak, but because I was waiting. I had something on my phone that could expose the entire lie. And if she wanted a scene, I was ready to give her one. The reception moved into its second hour. Plates were being cleared. Glasses refilled. The DJ played soft jazz in the background while people mingled. That's when my cousin Rena found me. Rena was the family's so-called troublemaker. She spoke her mind, which in our family meant she was treated like a problem. She sat down next to me at my empty table in the corner and slid a glass of water toward me. "This doesn't make sense," she said, keeping her voice low. "I think she's lying." I looked at her. "What makes you say that?" Rena leaned closer. "Because I heard her. 3 days ago at the rehearsal dinner. She was in the bathroom with her maid of honor, and she was practicing what she was going to say to you. Word for word. She said she needed to handle Danielle before the ceremony, so things would go smoothly." My hands went still. She rehearsed it. "Like a speech," Rena said. She even laughed about it. We sat there for a moment, piecing the timeline together. The strange texts. The rehearsed accusation. The public humiliation. The removal from the bridal party. None of it was a reaction to something real. It was a plan. And everyone bought it. My mother, my father, the aunts, the guests. They all fell right in line because that's what they'd always done. Believed Vanessa. Blamed Danielle. Around us, the family moved through the reception with smug satisfaction. Vanessa floated between tables, accepting compliments, basking in sympathy she manufactured. She looked triumphant. She thought she'd won. Rena squeezed my arm. "You don't have to take this." I looked at her, then at the DJ booth where a microphone sat on its stand. The reception speeches weren't over yet. The floor was still open. "I know," I said. I waited until the best man finished his toast. People clapped. Glasses clinked. The energy in the room was warm and relaxed. Perfect. I stood up and walked to the front of the room. My shoes clicked against the wooden floor, and the sound seemed louder than it should have been. I picked up the microphone. The DJ looked confused but didn't stop me. A few guests turned. Then a few more. Then the whole room. Vanessa's smile disappeared. I could see her fingers tighten around Tyler's arm. "I didn't plan to speak tonight," I said. My voice was steady, clear. "But I need to correct something that's been said about me today." The room went dead silent. Even the clink of silverware stopped. "My sister told many of you that her fiancé, now her husband, confessed to having feelings for me. That I was removed from the bridal party because I was a threat to their relationship." I paused. Let the word settle. "That's a lie." Vanessa shot up from her chair. "Danielle, don't you dare." I pulled my phone from my clutch and pressed play. The room filled with Vanessa's own voice, recorded during a phone call she'd made to me weeks earlier. In it, she laughed and said, "I'm going to tell everyone Tyler has a thing for you. That way, no one will pay attention to you at my wedding. I need this day to be about me, and you always find a way to get sympathy." The recording ended. The silence that followed was deafening. Then came the gasps. Slow at first, then spreading through the room like a wave. Tyler stood up. His face was red. You told me she was flirting with me. You showed me texts you said she sent. Those texts were fabricated, I said, and I pulled up the screenshots on my phone, turning the screen toward the head table. Here are the real messages. The ones where she planned this entire thing. Step by step. Vanessa lunged forward. That's out of context. You're twisting everything. I held the microphone firmly and looked her straight in the eye. Then explain it. She couldn't. Tyler turned to her, his jaw tight. You lied to me? She opened her mouth but nothing came out. Around the room, I could see it happening. The shift. The aunts whispering. My uncle shaking his head. My father rubbing his temples. And my mother. She sat perfectly still, her champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips, staring at Vanessa with an expression I had never seen before. Doubt. Vanessa crumbled. Tears fell. Her voice broke into fragments of excuses that no one was buying anymore. Her credibility collapsed in front of every person she had tried to impress. I set the microphone down gently. I didn't come here to ruin anything, I said. You did that yourself. I walked out of that reception hall without looking back. The night air hit my skin, cool and clean, carrying the faint smell of rain on concrete. Behind me, I could hear the muffled chaos. Raised voices, chairs scraping, the sound of a family reckoning with something they had ignored for decades. Rena caught up to me in the parking lot. She didn't say anything at first. She just walked beside me, her heels clicking on the asphalt in rhythm with mine. You okay? She finally asked. Yeah, I said. And I meant it. I found out later that Tyler didn't speak to Vanessa for the rest of the night, that he left the reception early and checked into a hotel, that my mother tried calling me 6 times, but couldn't bring herself to leave a voicemail. I didn't return any calls. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the need to explain myself, to apologize for existing, to shrink so someone else could expand. I had spent 34 years being overlooked, underestimated, and blamed. But that night, standing in that parking lot with the one person who believed me, I realized something that changed everything. I never needed their approval. For the first time, I wasn't invisible, and I didn't need them to see me anymore. If you've ever been publicly humiliated or falsely accused by someone close to you, you know how deep that cuts. Share your story in the comments. I want to hear it. Subscribe to join a space where your voice matters. Click hype to help this story reach others who need the courage to stand up for themselves. Did this story hit home? Let me know by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Click hype to help this story find others who felt the same way. Your support makes a huge difference.